Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a happy Monday. This is going to be a Cardano update video. It's been a little while since we've covered ADA, and we are going to consistently cover it throughout this bear market. You know, Cardano is a project that I truly believe in, and I think it's here to stay. And in this video, we're going to do a number of things. We're going to be checking in on some things happening within the Cardano ecosystem, and I'm going to be playing a few clips here that were actually retweeted from Input Output, or tweeted from Input Output. First one is Charles talking about sort of decentralized sovereign identity and what it means. And the other one is a clip from Patrick, who I think is from the NFT Maker IO, talking about the fact that, you know, in regards to blockchain, we're still so early. Yes, short term, over the past, months now, we've been rather bearish and we've been rather pessimistic in regards to the price action. But the price action is secondary to what blockchain is really trying to achieve. You know, it is trying to innovate and revolutionize not just the financial sector, but many other sectors out there. I truly believe that blockchain, and I always have done, it's why I'm still in this game. If I thought blockchain was going to just disappear and the cryptocurrency market was going to evaporate, I wouldn't be here making videos day in, day out. But I am, because I believe in it. And these clips really kind of highlight very well some of the core principles of blockchain and what's really going on here, and just how lucky you guys are at the other end of the screens to be a part of this. We will, of course, touch on the price. You guys know we've been saying for a while now we think ADA goes lower eventually. Doesn't mean that it can't have relief rallies. We've seen plenty of relief rallies so far, but they've been killed off. And right now, what's driving the cryptocurrency market in terms of the price action? It's really the macro environment, and it's really liquidity. And liquidity, for people that understand the kind of inherent natures of interest rate hikes, gets taken off the table. And I don't think it's a environment that we're in now and going to continue to be in until we see some sort of a monetary policy shift that is going to allow a flourishing bull market to take place. Doesn't mean we can't have relief rallies that are very trader driven, but ultimately, you know, I do think prices go low, and I just want to make that abundantly clear. You know, I think it's a great move that Cardano's had, but we've seen this time and time again, and ultimately, it can't really swim against the tide and decouple from the overall market, which is really tethered to liquidity. But we'll talk about that. I also am going to get into some of the things happening within the ecosystem, because it's such a vibrant ecosystem that we have. The community, you guys, are what make Cardano. You're a key part of this blockchain because you're the users of it. We are the DeFi farmers within this space. And yes, we've seen a decline. Again, markets driven from liquidity. We've seen liquidity taken out of the DeFi sector in terms of total value locked, but it will come back. And when it does come back, it's going to be in a significantly stronger or better place than it was, you know, when Cardano was all the way up at $3. We didn't even have the DeFi sector back then. So what we're going to do to really kick things off is we're going to take a look at where ADA is today. Still 8th in terms of market cap. It's not going anywhere. It currently has a price of 49 cents and a market cap of $16.6 billion. And we know the story for ADA really since the Alonso hard fork. We've seen a deterioration in the price, and this has had a lot to do with external factors. And ultimately, you know, do I think ADA is ever going to get to $3 again? Absolutely, I do. But I think for now, we have to go through this kind of recessionary period that we will come out the other end of, and blockchain will be all the better for it, having washed a lot of the chaff away. You know, it's a bright future that we've got. I think we absolutely get back to $3 and we go above and beyond it eventually. But for now, we've got to deal with the environment at hand. But Cardano isn't going anywhere. And to really stress that point, you know, we show that it was 8th today. This is back in the 2017 bull run. It was 5th. It's here to stay and is going to be one of the blockchains. You know, when we look at one of the first videos I ever made was talking about how Bitcoin is just following Amazon. Now, I was an investor in Bitcoin. You know, I got Bitcoin at some pretty good prices. But the video when I made that, if you go on my channel and you scroll right down to the bottom, you'll see that one of the first videos I made was something called Bitcoin is following Amazon. And I was essentially saying, look, very similar in the fact that the internet was a technological revolution that spawned these companies such as Amazon. And blockchain is the revolution that has created and you know, these cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, Cardano have come out of, and they're here to stay, in my opinion. I know there's a bit of a kind of disagreement between Ethereum and the Cardano community, which is fine. We all have our disagreements and our biases, but I think they're both here to stay. And I think ADA actually has a lot more scope for upside, given the kind of market cap that it has and so on, and the early nature of it. So I want to play this clip first from Patrick over at NFT Maker. You guys can go and check him out. His handle is at PADIERFIND. You can see him here. And he's really talking about just where we are as an industry and how early we are. And the fact that when we talk about blockchain, who's really using it and who potentially could be using it into the future. This is the thing that excites me about this industry. And one of the things that excites me about ADA, because it's well positioned to capture a good share of this market moving forward. So I'll go ahead and play the clip.
The big challenge that crypto is currently facing is essentially that we have all these amazing projects building, and we have a lot of DEXs, and we have a lot of great technology, but the one thing that is actually missing is real-world adoption. So we do not have many tools that just regular people are using. We don't have a single dApp that my grandma is using, and that's a problem. Everyone should be using crypto because crypto has the ability to make so many things better in the world, but it's kind of not there yet. So that's currently, I think, where the whole industry is moving towards, and that's also what we are trying to do. I think Cardano in general is doing a lot with RealFi and a lot of real-world problems that are being tackled by multiple different Cardano projects. And I'm trying that as well, of course. But we are getting there, and basically we're starting, and now it's all moving more towards real applications that just make sense for everyone.
When we talk about the DeFi sector, generally, it's not widely used. And I've always said this, the way that Cardano, and I think Charles is currently in Mongolia at the moment, the way that Cardano is trying to position themselves within Africa, the continent of Africa and some of the individual countries within it, is one of the most strategic moves that I've seen in the blockchain space, because who are going to be some of the real users and beneficiaries of DeFi? It's people that don't already have those alternative centralized systems in place. And what essentially is being said here, what Patrick is essentially saying here, is that we are exceptionally early in regards to blockchain and its adoption. We already know that crypto is one of the fastest adopted technologies out there. And if you look at the curve of adoption, we're very early in that, and there's a lot to come. This is going to be we got to $3 trillion in terms of an overall market cap. Today, we're currently sat at, I think we're just probably under $1 trillion, or at $1 trillion, I should say, $1 trillion. This is going to be a 10, 20, who knows how many $1 trillion industry eventually. And we get to be along for that ride. And that really excites me. And it's the whole reason why I created this YouTube channel, to really get people excited about what the future holds. We're all going to be a part of that here. And Cardano is very much going to be a part of that. It's been a part of it since 2017, and he's still here today, despite all the criticism, despite people calling it a ghost chain, this, that, and the other. And he's actually really coming into its own at the moment, certainly moving towards the Vasil hard fork. This was another clip from Charles Hoskinson. A bit of a longer video today because we've not covered it in a little while, but hopefully you guys like the longer videos where we get into individual things. I'm going to be doing some separate videos related to Cardano, but really about the ecosystem and some of the projects building on top of it, like Cardano, Liquid, and we'll cover Djed in a little bit of detail within this one if we've got time.
What I like about self-sovereign identity is it really doesn't say, well, identity is commanded and controlled by the government. Rather, the individual creates their own credential. That's the concept of self-sovereign identity. And then the individual has a choice of what they choose to share, to whom they choose to share it. I think it's the only way you can actually combat totalitarianism. You don't try to say, evil mean government, you go be better, and then we'll do business with you, because the people running the show are comfortable in power. You have to give the people a tool to resist what's happening real time in that circumstance.
One reason I'm in ADA is quite simply because of Charles. I think his vision for blockchain and the reasons for him being in blockchain and building Cardano very much align with my own values and my own beliefs. That I think it's been too long where the people have been getting a bad deal and not had control over their own sovereign identity. ADA, Cardano, is trying to bring this to people. And this is what people always forget. And it's easy to do so. When we look at the price action, we are significantly down, ladies and gentlemen. but we've been here before and we've came back in a tremendous fashion from it. 2017, we did a similar thing. Bear market. We're currently in a bear market, but we will come back like a phoenix from the ashes, guys. That's something that I'm very confident about. It's a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, really, for me. It's a matter of when. The issue that I've got in regards to the price action at the moment and people calling, breakouts and this, that, and the other. Yes, it's a really nice move that we've seen for ADA. We'll drop down to the daily time frame, but it's nothing that we haven't seen before. And I have been looking. I constantly check Cardano and I look for divergences, really bullish divergences at the moment because we know this is a bear trend. And potentially, if you look at your money flow index and your RSI, you're starting to kind of fail to put in new low. So could support a move. But that doesn't mean that it can't see a sort of roll to the downside. And I ultimately think if markets are driven by liquidity, Cardano is a part of that. So is the DeFi sector, really. When money becomes scarce and more expensive, it gets taken off the table. I can still see lower prices. You guys know, we've said for a while now. I mean, really, we weren't the first out of Cardano and we're still actually largely in it. It's one of the only cryptocurrencies or one of very few cryptocurrencies that actually still continue to hold. Obviously, I've got stake pool for anybody interested. The ticker is ALLIN. The issue that I've really got is we've still got lower price targets that I think eventually get hit, providing that we continue on the kind of environment that we're currently in. And that, I think, is an amazing opportunity for people that are looking to re-enter or to accumulate more. Because, again, what we spent the first half of this video talking about is, ADA is going to be very much a part of the future that we're moving towards, which I think involves blockchain technology and many of the cryptocurrencies to come out of it. This is from Liquid Labs, personally a DeFi protocol that I'm very excited about. We are good over here, just steady building. Did someone say a reference input? So this is from Dwayne Cameron. I think he's one of the head honchos or one of the founding members. Already here for a few protocol components, e.g. market batching systems, the governance model. 75% of market lending systems is already working on testnet. On-chain part of borrowing will be done by the end of next week, with off-chain pieces only needing a few days. So this is rolling around. I think we'll get this obviously with the launch of the Vasil hard fork. DeFi ecosystem is continuing to work brilliantly. I use lots of it. Certainly your DEXs. You guys know that I've had Wing Riders on a number of times. That's a DEX that I'm very interested in. Also interviewed Lending Pond, which I'll have to be releasing that soon. They are a very bright young team. And this is the real thing with Cardano. We've got nearly 1,000 dApps building on top of it. We've got millions of users. This is where we're currently at now. Imagine where we're going to be in the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. It's a very exciting future that I think people interested in Cardano have ahead of them. We've got Jed, or Jed, I should say. People always rip me up in the comments for pronouncing the D, which of course is silent. And they essentially gave a report here as they are moving closer and closer. They're really just waiting for the Vasil hard fork to launch, talking about some of the fee models. I was going to read through this, but this has already gone on for 13 minutes, so I'll probably avoid it. I'll essentially read the opening statement. As Cardano's Vasil hard fork is getting closer, as well as development of Djed to the mainnet, we believe it is time to share more information about Djed's protocol and more specifically about the fee structure. So it talks about a number of things like how Djed is actually going to work. COTI will be a beneficiary. Actually, and this is something that I kind of overlooked. If you hold COTI, you'll actually be a beneficiary of the Djed stablecoin because some of the fees, the operational fees, will actually go into COTI and then go into the treasury and ultimately filter back to the COTI holders. You also have the minting and burning of both Djed and Shen. Of course, ADA gets locked up in this, but also the Shen holders benefit as a result of it. So there's two parts to the Djed stablecoin. One is Shen, which is kind of the reserve token, if you will, which is what allows sort of Djed to operate at a sort of 400%, I think is the minimum collateral rate, to 600%. And this is exciting. For anybody that understands what an algorithmic stablecoins does to an ecosystem, it really bolsters it, because not only do you lock the underlying asset ADA up, but you also have a stablecoin that you can then use. So no sell pressure in regards to having to sell your ADA. You can then take the stablecoin and input it into the DeFi ecosystem, bolstering that. And I think you're going to see a real uptick in total value locked on the Cardano network as a result of Djed launching. This is something that we spoke about. We've also had a thread here that was really interesting, or not a thread, a Medium article here that was written by Ada Finance, which is another borrowing and lending protocol that we've covered on the channel, talking about some of the improvements that Vasil will bring. And certainly from a development perspective, you know, it's going to bring many. So just to quickly summarize everything, you know, ultimately, relief rallies do happen. We've seen many of them so far. I do think Cardano will eventually come down lower. But does that mean I'm bearish on ADA long term? Absolutely not. You know, I'm exceptionally bullish and I want to get as much Cardano as I possibly can. I want to become a whale, an ADA whale essentially. And, you know, I think I'm going to have the opportunity to do that if we do see low prices. If we don't and I'm totally wrong, then, you know, we'll admit that and we'll move on and have to get in at higher prices. But my bias is that we still see lower prices across the board. Does that mean Cardano's dead? Absolutely not. Really, what's driving the price now is the macro, and the macro is really driven by liquidity. And if you understand the kind of issues surrounding monetary tightening, you know, you'll get a very clear picture of the environment that we're potentially moving into may not be a positive one. For anybody that wants more information on that, please watch my daily cryptocurrency market updates where we really focus a lot on the macro and the crypto market as a whole. But, you know, Cardano is a coin that I'm going to continue to cover, continue to stick with, as I have been now for over 3 years, and continue to make what hopefully you guys find useful content on YouTube about it. So hang in there, guys. You know, we will see brighter days. It's a matter of, like I say, when, not if. But for now, we've got to deal with the situation at hand and keep an eye. I'm personally going to be investing in many of the projects coming out of Cardano and within its ecosystem because I see huge potential. Certainly if ADA and its network sees the kind of adoption that I believe it will. All I've got for you in this one, guys, if you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So it's a comment, and I'll catch each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gents.